Welcome to SleepyLearn. Tonight, we trace the beginnings of the Greek mythic cosmos, from the first conditions of existence to the rise of the Titans and the quiet preparation of Zeus. The goal is simple: to present a clear, steady account anyone can follow while studying or winding down. We move at an even pace, giving each idea enough room to land, building a timeline that makes sense from start to finish. In early Greek thought, the start is not an explosion of light or a single act by a craftsman deity. It is a state. The word is chaos, not noisy disorder, but an open gap, a yawning space without edges. No earth, no sky, no sea. No sun to mark day, no moon to measure month, no stars to plot a path. Chaos is possibility without structure. From this state, fundamental presences appear. They are not people with biographies, they are conditions that make a world possible. Primordial presences. The first presence is Gaia, Earth. Imagine not just soil and rock, but the capacity for ground itself, firmness, horizons, the potential for mountains, plains, forests. Gaia is the base layer. Next is Tartarus, the deepest region, a bottom so far below that it serves as the measure of extremity. It is not merely a pit in the dirt, it is the concept of down, pushed to the limit. There is Nyx, night, which is the fullness of darkness across the world. With her comes Erebus, the darkness that gathers in gaps and under things, the interior shadow. Finally, there is Eros, in this earliest form, not a youthful archer, but the binding force that allows separate things to join and produce more than they were alone. These are not family members in the normal sense. They are structural parts of a cosmos. With them in place, formation can proceed. Earth and sky Gaia, vast and alone, generates Uranus, sky. The meeting of Earth and sky is the first real pairing that shapes a stage on which events can happen. Sky arches over Earth, boundaries form, horizons, a dome, and above. Stars appear. The alternation of brightness and darkness begins to feel ordered. From Gaia and Uranus come new beings, the Titans, the Cyclopes, and the Hecatoncheires. The Titans form a first generation of deities tied to natural and conceptual orders. The Cyclopes will matter later as smiths of power. The Hecatoncheires are embodiments of overwhelming force. List the 12 Titans with clear roles and relations. Oceanus, the encircling river at the rim of the world. Tethys, paired with Oceanus, source of rivers, springs, and fresh water. Hyperion, connected with light, later father of sun, Helios, moon, Selene, and dawn, Eos. Athea, linked to brightness and precious sight, paired with Hyperion. Coeus, axis and inquiry, a figure of the pole around which the heavens turn. Phoebe, brightness and prophetic clarity, paired with Coeus. Creus, associated with constellations and seasonal markers. Mnemosyne, memory, foundation for language, culture, and story, later mother of the Muses, by Zeus beyond Part 1. Themis, divine order and custom, a stabilizing principle. Iapetus, line of mortal adjacent figures. Atlas, Prometheus, Epimetheus, Menoetius will come later. Rhea, destined to be mother of the Olympians. Cronus, Kronos, the youngest, strategic, careful, ambitious. Alongside the Titans stand the Cyclopes, Brontes, Steropes, and Arges, names tied to thunder, lightning, and bright flash. Their single eye symbolizes focused, piercing attention. They will one day forge the thunderbolt and other decisive weapons. And there are the Hecatoncheires, Cottus, Briareus, Aegaeon, and Gyges, Gaius, each with 100 hands and 50 heads. They are not subtle forces, they represent the magnitude of raw stacking power. Uranus's fear and the burden on Earth. Uranus fears what he has fathered, especially the monstrous scale of the Hecatoncheires and the fierce potential of the Cyclopes. Fear leads to control. Uranus pushes them down into Tartarus, binding them away from the open world. For Gaia, this imprisonment is more than a moral problem. It is a physical burden. She is Earth. To confine them within her is to carry their weight and hear their cries. The world's foundation is in pain. In mythic logic, this kind of imbalance cannot last. A correction becomes necessary. Gaia conceives a plan. She fashions a sickle with a blade of adamant, a mythical substance harder than any metal. She asks her children who will act. Most Titans hesitate. Uranus is the encircling sky. Defiance seems impossible. One Titan steps forward, Cronus. He is the youngest, and youth in myth often means freedom from the habits that paralyze elders. Cronus accepts the sickle and the task. The Overthrow of Uranus. The scene is direct. When Uranus descends to lie with Gaia, Cronus executes the ambush. The adamantine blade separates Uranus from the immediate exercise of power over Earth. Myth records consequences that ripple outward. From the blood that strikes Earth arise the Erinyes, Furies, champions of moral order who pursue those who commit certain grave wrongs, the giants, great opponents that will matter in later cycles, and the Meliae, nymphs of the ash tree, tied to the making of spears and mortal lineages. From the white foam in the sea where a severed part of Uranus falls, Aphrodite emerges, carried ashore by the waves. In the tradition that places her birth here, love and desire as we know them enter the mythic world after a brutal act, one of many paradoxes in Greek myth. Uranus withdraws into the high sky. His reign as direct sovereign ends. Cronus takes command. The Age of the Titans begins. The Golden Age and the seed of anxiety under Cronus. Tradition speaks of a Golden Age. Mortals live simply and well. The earth produces without compulsion. The air is temperate. Conflict is low. But even in an ideal era, myth inserts tension, a prophecy. Uranus had declared that one of Cronus's own children would depose him, just as he deposed Uranus. Prophecy in Greek myth is not mere prediction, it is a structural pressure. It shapes behavior. Cronus hears the words and acts to avoid their fulfillment. He marries Rhea, his sister, and when children are born, he swallows them whole. The first is Hestia, associated with hearth and stability. Then Demeter, agriculture and seasonal plenty. Then Hera, marriage and sovereignty. Then Hades, rule of the unseen realm below. And then Poseidon, lord of the sea. The image is stark. Powers that should populate and balance the cosmos are held inside a single ruler. The world appears calm, but the order is unsustainable. Rhea suffers, Gaia witnesses. The pattern cannot hold. Rhea's plan and the birth in secret Rhea turns to Gaia. Another plan takes shape, quiet, careful, corrective. When Rhea becomes pregnant again, she leaves the center of power and travels to Crete. In a cave on Mount Ida, she gives birth to Zeus. The setting is important, not a palace but a protected natural chamber. Culture often begins in caves in myth, places of shelter and transition. To deceive Cronus, Rhea wraps a stone in swaddling and presents it as the newborn. Cronus swallows it without question. One more threat, he thinks, removed. The infant Zeus remains hidden. The Curetes, armed dancers, clash shields and stamp rhythms to mask the baby's cries. The nymph Amalthea feeds the child, sometimes described as a goat who nurses him, sometimes as a caretaker. The detail varies by source, but the function is the same. The child is nurtured out of sight until he can act. Zeus grows in strength and awareness. he learns the wrong that has been done to his siblings. He learns the cost of fear-driven rule. Genealogies that frame the conflict. Before Zeus moves, the story widens to show lines that will matter later. Greek myth often locates later events in earlier genealogies. Oceanus and Tethys generate the world's rivers and the Oceanids, a vast number of water nymphs who populate springs and streams. Hyperion and Theia beget Helios, sun, Selene, moon, and Eos, dawn, the rhythm of day, night, and morning light that will witness all events to come. Quaeus and Phoebe have Leto and Asteria. Leto will become mother of Apollo and Artemis with Zeus in the next era. Asteria connects to starry signs and to Hecate in some strands. Iapetus fathers Atlas, Prometheus, Epimetheus, and Meneuethius, a line that will interact with mortals and with punishment in notable ways. Atlas will bear a cosmic burden. Prometheus will side with humans and suffer for it. Epimetheus will act without foresight. Meneuetius will fall in the coming war. Mnemosyne, memory itself, will one day be joined with Zeus to produce the Muses, sources of song, story, and measured speech, our very ability to recount this tale. These threads explain why the war that is coming is not a simple clash of two sides. Families and functions cross the imagined battlefield. Some titans will resist Zeus, some will support or accept him. The future Olympian order is not a total break. It is a reorganization that keeps much of the world's machinery intact while changing who guarantees it. Zeus comes of age, hidden childhood ends. Zeus seeks allies and advice. He turns to Métis, a goddess of wise counsel and practical skill. Metis proposes a method, not a duel. If Cronus can be made to release what he has consumed, balance can be restored and forces equalized for what must follow. Metis prepares a draft, a mixture that will compel Cronus to expel what sits inside him. Zeus presents the drink in disguise. Whether through arrogance or simple habit, Cronus accepts it. The effect is immediate. One by one, the swallowed children return to the world. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, no longer infants but fully formed powers. They stand with Zeus. The act does two things at once. It reverses a fundamental wrong, and it creates a coalition that can credibly challenge Titan authority. Still, the Titans are many, and their leader is experienced. The Olympians need more. Opening the deep and arming for the future, Zeus takes a step that Uranus never allowed. He opens the way to Tartarus to free the Cyclopes and Hecatoncheires. In mythic terms, this is risky. It means handling extremes responsibly rather than locking them away. It is the mark of a ruler who seeks to incorporate power instead of denying it exists. The Cyclopes arm the new order. To Zeus they give the thunderbolt, a projectile and a symbol, swift, illuminating, and decisive. To Poseidon they give the trident, a mark of sea rule and its threefold thrust. And to Hades they give the helm of invisibility, a power of concealment and sudden presence where the enemy does not expect it. The Hecatoncheires, restored, pledge their strength. 100 hands can hurl 100 stones at once. 50 heads can track many movements at once. Their scale will matter later. The political map. Before war. Before any battle, Greek myth often sketches a geography of allegiance. The Titans gather at Mount Othrys. The Olympians hold Mount Olympus. The choice of mountains is not just scenic. High places are ancient seats of power. Valleys between them will become corridors of action. Not all Titans remain with Cronus. Some lines are neutral, some will later reconcile with the Olympians. Themis and Mnemosyne, principles of order and memory, will eventually stand with Zeus. Oceanus is often described as aloof from the conflict, encircling the world without taking sides. This mix prevents the story from reducing into pure good versus evil. It is a shift in stewardship of cosmic order, argued by force, because argument alone cannot settle it. The cost of prophecy. Return to the prophecy that drove Cronus. In trying to escape it, he created the exact conditions of its fulfillment. By swallowing children, he converted potential allies into guaranteed enemies. By refusing to integrate extreme powers, he made Earth suffer and stored up grievances. Zeus learns from this pattern. Where Cronus confined, Zeus will attempt to coordinate. Where Cronus denied, Zeus will absorb and direct. This contrast sets expectations for the new regime. The cliff's edge, all pieces are now set. A restored group of Olympian siblings under Zeus. Titans entrenched with Cronus. Cyclopes providing decisive arms. Hecaton shares offering massed strength. A mountain's chosen. Motives clear. The air grows tense. The first thunder that sounds is not weather. It is Zeus drawing a line. The valleys lie quiet before the first charge. In many tellings, the Titanomachy will last 10 years. The specifics belong to another night. Here we stop at the last moment of stillness, when strategy is set, alliances are locked, and the world holds its breath. Life. During the Titan Age, filling the world. Before the Great War breaks, it is worth pausing to see the world as it exists under Cronus's rule. The Greeks imagined the Golden Age in more than one way. In Hesiod's Works and Days, it is a time when humans live like gods themselves, free from toil, free from the threat of aging, untouched by war. Death, when it comes, is gentle, like falling into sleep. Crops grow without plough or seed, rivers run clear, air is mild. In this vision, Cronus's reign is remembered by mortals as a time of perfection. But there's a tension. Even in a so-called perfect age, fear at the top distorts the foundation. The ruler's suspicion, swallowing his children, is the shadow in the light. In mythic thinking, this is the explanation for why such an age cannot last forever. Perfection under fear is brittle. The Titans themselves hold domains that give form to daily life. Oceanus encircles all lands, his currents binding the known and unknown. And Tethys governs the nourishing streams that thread through valleys. Hyperion's influence ensures dawn follows night, light warms the land. Themis maintains the unwritten laws that keep nature's balance. Mnemosyne preserves the knowledge of what has happened before, allowing lessons to carry forward. When mortals look to the sky or the sea, they are, in Greek imagination, seeing the bodies or influence of these titans. There is no sharp divide between nature and divinity. They are one. Rhea's hidden journey, expanded detail. When Rhea prepares to save her youngest, the story slows. It is not only a matter of switching a baby for a stone. She must leave Cronus's reach without raising suspicion. The journey to Crete in myth is both literal and symbolic, a passage from the center of control to a wild place where new beginnings can hide. Crete in Greek storytelling is often a place of older, earthbound powers. The cave of Mount Ida is no mere hole in rock. It is a sacred womb of the earth, lined with stone that echoes and seals sound. In this safe darkness, Rhea delivers Zeus. To keep him safe, the curates form a protective ring. These warrior dancers beat their bronze shields in complex rhythms, leaping and stamping, their noise echoing against the cave walls. Anyone outside might hear only a clamor of ritual, never the cry of a child. It's a sound screen, an ancient form of camouflage. The goat Amalthea, sometimes described as an actual goat, sometimes as a nymph who owns or tends the goat, nourishes the infant. From Amalthea's horn flows an endless supply of milk and honey, a detail that will echo later in the cornucopia, symbol of plenty. Zeus's earliest years pass here, hidden in sound and shadow, watching the play of torchlight on cave stone, hearing the constant beat of shields and boots that mark him as protected. The return of the siblings, the moment of release. When Zeus, grown to full stature and cunning, gives Cronus the potion prepared by Metis, the act is not a dramatic battle. It is a reversal of swallowing, a symbolic undoing of fear's hold. One by one, the swallowed siblings emerge, not as newborns, but as adult deities with domains already fixed. Hestia steps out first, bringing the calm presence of the hearth, the quiet center around which all else turns. Demeter follows, her arrival like spring-breaking winter, carrying the scent of new-cut grain. Hera comes with the dignity of sovereignty, the capacity to bind alliances through marriage and law. Hades emerges silent, the darkness in his eyes deep and steady. A Poseidon bursts forth like a cresting wave, salt spray and roar in his voice. Their reunion is quiet but charged. They are united not only by blood, but by shared injustice. Each knows they were denied their rightful place in the open world. The descent into Tartarus, unleashing extremes. The freeing of the Cyclopes and Hecatoncheires is an act of deep trust. Zeus descends to Tartarus, the pit even the gods fear to name too often. Here the Cyclopes endure in darkness, their forge cold, their tools idle. The moment they are released, they return to work, hammering out gifts that are as much identity as weapon. The thunderbolt is more than a weapon for Zeus. It is the seal of his authority, a union of light, sound, and irresistible force. The trident for Poseidon is the embodiment of sea's might, able to stir storms, split rock, or calm waters with a touch. The helm of invisibility for Hades allows him to move unseen, striking from absence. The Hecatoncheires, unchained, stretch their limbs, the ground shudders under their movement. Their pledge to Zeus is simple: they will not be caged again. Seeds of the Titanomachy, the Olympians now have numbers, arms, and allies. The Titans have seniority, fortified positions, and their own alliances. Both sides know that negotiation will not resolve the prophecy. The decision moves toward war. Mount Othrys becomes the Titan stronghold, a seat of height yet lower than Olympus. The Olympians claim Olympus, a peak often above the weather, clear and lofty. The very choice of ground is symbolic, the new aiming to stand above the old. Between the ranges lies the space where armies will move. Rivers, forests, and valleys will be reshaped by the coming struggle. The world itself will bear marks of the conflict. Stopping at the brink before the first blow, there is a moment when all is still. Each side sees the other across the distances. And that brings us to the end of part 1. If you enjoyed this journey through the world of the Greek gods and titans, give this video a like. It really helps others find it. Subscribe to SleepyLearn so you don't miss part 2, where the first strike of the Titanomachy will shake the heavens. And if you'd like to drift off while learning more, check out our other stories of history, science, and myth. Until next time, sleep well and keep learning.